So welcome back to another edition of the Northern Nerd Network. My name is Dan Schessel, and on today's edition of the Northern Nerd, we are actually going to do something a little bit different that I don't normally do, but I felt that it was about time that I got to it, and today I feel like for this video anyways, I'm gonna go through a little bit of the setup that I have down here for the podcast that I have. So if you guys haven't checked this out yet, I run a podcast. It's called the Northern Nerd Network, or the Northern Nerdcast, sorry. And basically what we do is we talk to people who are in the Edmonton area, the geeky and nerdy people groups and events that happen in and around the city of Edmonton. And we bring them onto the show, and we have a conversation, and we usually do this through a Google Hangouts. But today I really kind of want to focus on what I have here in my studio. So first off, I want to just, talk a little bit about some of the setup I have, and then we'll kind of go into some more of the software and some of the other stuff that I use to put the podcast out. All right, so first off, I have this microphone here. It is an Art C3 microphone. The reason why I kind of like it is it was a little bit lower on the price point, but it wasn't super cheap, but at the same time it wasn't really super expensive either. It does have a few features built right onto the microphone that I kind of liked about it. It has the nice bass roll off, switch right on the mic itself, as well as it has some line distortion switches on there, on either side of the mic, and there's no noise that can get in from the sides, or I can have it just in the front, so it just kind of picks up just in this front area here of the mic. The other thing is it can pick up all the way around as well, and that's just a switch that's on the mic itself. It also came with this nice heavy looking shock mount as well, which is really nice. The other thing that I have now in my setup is I just bought this nice pop filter. The pop filter is an Apex MWS 206 DLX. It's a dual screen, so it's got two, if you guys can kind of see that there's actually two screens on this one. I didn't really necessarily need two screens. It was on sale at the time when I bought it, and it was actually cheaper than the single one, so that's the one I went with. I had one that I had bought on Amazon, and the arm itself was just too weak, and it just kept on falling during recordings, so I had to get rid of that one, and I sent it back, and I picked this one up at Long & McQuaid, and it's been pretty solid so far. Cannot complain at all about it. The other thing that I just recently added to the podcast is this arm here. And this is the Rode PSA-1 arm. There's one thing that I really do like about the arm is that it's got I like Rode and pretty much all their equipment. All their stuff has been pretty fantastic. I got some of their mics, and they are just so good, so good. The other thing that I like about this arm is that I can stretch it out so far. Like, this is actually attached to the far end of my table here. It's pretty smooth. I haven't had really any issue. It's really quiet. I do have one problem when it gets a little higher there. You can I don't know if you can hear that. But for the most part, I think I just need to grease that up a little bit, and it'll be fine again. But for the most part, I've had pretty much no issues with this mic stand, this boom arm, and it's been pretty fantastic. So I would highly recommend it. Again, it's really long. I had an older boom arm back here, as you can kind of see, and it really wasn't all that great, to be honest with you. It was one of those ones where you just kind of lock it into place and it doesn't move anywhere, and it was kind of annoying, because once I you get going, you're like, oh, now I kind of need it over here, and yeah, it wasn't, or it was always in the way, and I have to like unlock it and push it up out of the way. It was kind of a pain. This one I can just kind of go like that, and it's up and out of the way, and it's pretty awesome. All right. The other thing that I'd like to talk a little bit about is the soundboard that I use, because I use XLR microphones for the most part, and it's mainly because I was doing a lot of video stuff before I started podcasting. The camera that I used to carry around was a Sony PMW EX1. And it had the XLR inputs on them with the phantom power. So I would use that all the time, and I just got used to using XLR. I just had a whole bunch of XLR microphones, and so when I started podcasting, that's what I had, and so I kind of went with the soundboard. Well, the soundboard I went with was as a USB. It's a Behringer. The Behringer is XENYX Q80 to USB. I probably should have thought this one a little bit more through. I like the soundboard. The soundboard works pretty much for everything I kind of need it for. I do have a few issues with the board itself, but overall, for what I'm using it down here in this room, it's been pretty good. I may need to expand my board here at some point and have more microphone inputs on the board. The other thing I don't like about this board is that the USB, for me to monitor what's going on in the program, so when I'm doing a recording, I do it over a Google Hangouts, and in order for me to hear what they're saying on the Google Hangouts, I can push a button on the board and I can monitor what they're telling me on there. But the problem I had is that I couldn't hear myself. Okay, so like I was saying, one of the issues I was having with this board is that when I was monitoring, I can monitor my levels when I have this on, and it was going through the phone jack here, and you can see that I'm getting the monitor level here, and I can see what was going on. Now, as soon as I push this so that I can get the audio back through from the USB, I can only hear the USB coming through the headphones now, and you can tell here that my monitor for my talking level has gone away, and so you can see there the other. So what I've done is I've actually linked it here. So these two, this is my main out. I've put one jack into the main and one in here to my phones, and then I put my headphones, I plugged them into here. So that was one of the ways I got around that issue with this board. But overall, this board has been really good. It does have a phantom power on here so that I can use my condenser mic. And it's been great. So all the things that I needed this board for, it performs really, really well. It's got lots of inputs here, so I can put some of my music through these channels, and I can at least have two people sitting down with microphones at the moment. But like I said, I want to probably update this board at some point here, so that I can get some more XLR inputs in the board, and a way to make sure that I can monitor and hear what's going on both sides, on the USB and on my end as well, which this board for some reason just isn't capable of doing. Talking about monitoring your audio, what I use to monitor my audio is these headphones. These are the Audio-Technicas that I have. They are the ATH M20Xs. Now, I really love these headphones. The audio quality that come from these are spot on, and the price point for these, and you'll see a lot of people out there using these headphones. They are fantastic headphones. They are so comfortable to wear. The other thing that I really do like is that I can put this off to the side and it's still really comfortable. You can also put them down here. They're really, like, no matter which way I'm kind of carrying them around, they're really comfortable. And so, I'm probably muffled up my mic, but what I do like these headphones. So if you are looking at, starting up a podcast and you need some good headphones that get you some nice, clear, like crystal clear audio, these are definitely something to check out. The price point is really really low. I'm going to put a link in the description down below for you guys to go and check out how much they actually are. Really well worth picking up a set of good headphones to monitor your podcast. So the other thing that you need to consider when starting up a live stream, and because the way our podcast works is that it has a live stream component to it, and so when I do the live stream component, the thing that I really do need is lots and lots of light. So in this room here, I actually have 3 soft boxes that flood this area with just a ton of light. The other thing is you can kind of see there's this glow of green on my face. You can kind of see that. I actually have a green screen that's behind me, and that that allows this magic to happen on the screen behind me, and you guys can see the things that I can be able to do. I can put all sorts of stuff in behind, websites, pages, all sorts of different things back there, and it's been absolutely fantastic. Really do like that. But again, you need really good lighting in the room. For myself, I just went with a few really cheap soft boxes up in here. They don't make these ones specific anymore, but I'll put a couple links in the description down below on something that's comparable to these soft boxes. Next up, I'd like to talk a little bit about the camera. So as you can see over here, I do have a whole like monitor studio kind of setup here. So the camera that I'm using is just a nice little webcam that I bought online, and it is the C922 or 922 ProStream webcam from Logitech. I used to use another Logitech one. It was the C525, and it was just a 720p camera, and it wasn't the greatest quality, but it did the job. I still have it, and I'm going to be using it for other little things, maybe a second angle or things like that. But for right now, I'm using the C922 ProStream, and the quality that I'm getting, and you can kind of sort of see it on the monitor there, it has been fantastic. I am not complaining about the quality of the camera itself. The camera has been pretty good. So if you're looking to start a live stream of any kind, I would really suggest checking that camera out. It is not really all that expensive. I don't think I spent any more than $100 on the camera itself, and that is Canadian rupees. So go and check that out. I really did. I do like that camera. So go and see that. So the computer that I use for the podcast itself is a custom-built computer that I had built for myself, just specifically for the podcast. I do a little bit of gaming on it, but not a whole lot. But really what I have it mainly for is for the podcast and for video kind of stuff. I don't do a whole lot of video stuff on this computer. I actually have a Mac Pro, an old Mac Pro that we use for all that kind of, all the video editing kind of stuff. We have Final Cut and all that kind of fun stuff on that computer. We do have the computer that I had custom built. It's a i7 inside there, a 1070 graphics card, and about 16 gigs of RAM. It's just enough to kind of do what I wanted to do. If I want to kind of update it a little bit more to do a little bit more 4K stuff, I would have to kind of just up that RAM, I think, a little bit more. But other than that, I think for the most part, everything is running pretty smoothly for what I need it for. The programs that I use, and now here's one of the hacks that I'm going to talk about the soundboard earlier, is to be able to monitor my audio feed. I use Audacity while I'm running my podcast. Now, I don't record my podcast that way. I record it by taking the audio straight from YouTube. And I just take that audio and send it out as a podcast. It's not the best. I know it's not the best. It just is an easier way for me and my guests to do the podcast. So for the most part, what I do is I record on Audacity, and there I'm able to monitor my levels on there and make sure I'm not clipping or doing anything kind of crazy. It does have a compressor built onto the board, and so that kind of levels me out a little bit. For the most part, I do use Audacity on there. The other program I use for the video end of things is Xsplit. It's a paid program, but I really do like the functionality that's built on there. I know a lot of people out there will use like OBS and programs like that, but I got into using Xsplit on a few projects, and I really like it. And so it's just ease of use for myself. I'm able to put in my virtual studios, which, by the way, I just bought those online. Someone had built those somewhere else, and I just picked them up from somewhere. I can't remember which place it was. It was quite a few years back, and I still use them, and they still look great. So that is it. That is pretty much the whole setup that I have down here for the Northern Nerdcast. Let me know, like, if you guys are out there and you guys have a podcast, or if you guys are thinking about starting a podcast, what you guys think about this setup, or what you guys do for your own personal setup. There are a few things that I'm still missing down here in this setup. It's obviously a larger room. I don't really like that. I do have plans to actually build an actual sound room down here in this basement. That is going to be on its way. I am saving up the money from this podcast to do that. So maybe I'll do a video while I build the sound room. But for now, I have this. I do need some sound padding in here, which would help a lot more for the audio quality. But let me hear from you guys. I want to hear what you guys do for your guys' setup, and what you guys do for your podcast. And if you guys don't have a podcast, what's that thing that's stopping you from doing the podcast? Because a lot of this stuff that I use here is over the top, is for what I'm doing. You don't need all this kind of stuff, but it is stuff that I've been slowly acquiring over the years for doing a podcast. So I want to hear from you guys what your guys' setup is, and what's maybe stopping you from doing a podcast, or what you guys think of this thing. All right. That is it for this episode of the Nerdcast, or Northern Nerd Network. I want to thank you guys out there for watching this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.